In this tutorial, I'm going to be showing you how to UV unwrap a model. So this is the model from the previous video I made on how to model a wooden crate. But what we're going to do now is we're going to UV unwrap this. So if we select everything in the mesh and then we go to UV at the very top. So make sure everything's selected, then go to UV and click UV editor. So what you should see is something like this. So if we go to this checkerboard here, we can get a preview of what the texture looks like on the model. So we can see here, and then if we look at this, this is meant to look like nice smooth checkerboards on the shape. It's obviously not doing that. It's looking weird. So what we need to do, we need to fix that. So first step is we do this and then just reset all of the UVs. So go to create at the top on the UV editor and just do one of these. So I like to do camera base just for starters. So you'll start to see this, it looks like a mess, but this is where the UVs are all fixed and not looking weird. So move these out of the way, so select, so go to shell selection. So there's ones where you can do the vertices, the edges, just like modeling, and the faces. But if you do shell selection, it's like the object selection. What we then need to do, we need to separate each of these faces out. So imagine this is a cube without it being extruded, and that's what we need to separate it into. So if we go to edge selection, and then select the edges, so we just want to make them into squares. So if you imagine this is just a square, select all the edges of that square, and then if we do on the cut drop down, and then press cut, so this will then separate it into its own shell. So if we then move this out of the way, you've got this one that's separated. So we want to do that for each of the sides. So I'm going to select these ones. This one's already white, so that means it's already been cut. So we don't need to do, we only need to select these three. And then if I do cut again, then you can see this is white all the way around. And then we're going to do that again. So I'm going to press cut. And then this one, both of these ones are white, so we're going to select the top and bottom ones, and we're going to press cut again. With this now, if I do the shell selection in here, select it all, and I do unfold, and then layout, so unfold on the unfold one will like unwrap it all, and then layout will put it onto this 1x1 square, which is the UV. So obviously we can see that it's been unwrapped successfully, so we can see that the squares are looking nice and uniform, it's not stretching out like it was before. But the issue that's happening now is that they're rotated in some weird ways. So all we need to do, rotate it to make it so it's kind of looking okay. So we don't need to have it perfect, just have it so it's kind of looking straight. And once we've done this, we can straighten it out. But if I leave this one here, and I try to do, so what we're going to do is straighten UVs. So these ones are looking fine, but this one that I didn't rotate hasn't been straightened to be perfectly 90-degree angles. So that's why we need to make it look okay-ish, and then straighten UVs. Okay, and then it's all looking fine. So then if I do layout, it packages perfectly. Yeah, it's not all rotated weirdly, it packages perfectly. So if I move them out of the way, we also need to do the same thing for the beams. So in this way, unfold, layout, so it's okay like that. And I want them all vertical, so I'm going to rotate them again, just like how I did before. So I put them to where they're near enough straight. I want them all standing upright though. So if you're wanting yours to be horizontal, so laying down, you can rotate it that way, rotate them all that way, and then they should be fine. But I'm going to put them like this, and then select them all, straighten UVs, layout, and now these are perfectly packaged as well. So if I select all of this together, so select it all, then do layout, it packages them nicely. So when I look at this, it looks nice. So you can see that these are looking a little bit weird, but that doesn't matter because the player probably won't be able to see this anyway. They won't be paying too much attention to it. If you do care about that, you can separate, so you can do cuts on these faces as well, and then separate them out. So if I cut that and do shell selection, and then cut that, and then unfold, and then layout, rotate that to be looking okay-ish, and layout that again, straighten, layout. So it's all a case of unfolding, straightening, layout. If it doesn't look right, just keep doing straighten and unfold until it gets to a point where it does look okay. So if I do the checkerboard preview now, we can see that these checkerboards are now looking fine. The issue with that though is when we put a seamless wood texture on this, so this is what I'm going to be doing, but if I put a seamless wood texture on that now, it's not going to be seamless. So when it gets from here to here, it's going to have a seam. So you're going to tell when the wood changes. So I like to keep it like this, with the slight issue of the wood looking a little bit warped, but hopefully once we put the colour map on and all the maps, it won't be as noticeable. So it's a little trade-off. So if you're wanting to separate it, you can do, but I usually don't. So this is how you UV unwrap a model.